The big upgrade Mercedes is bringing to Imola, so we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Wolff keen to manage expectations over Mercedes Imola update. Mercedes will have a pretty large update in Imola to try and resolve its car problems, but team principal Toto Wolff warns that the team needs to keep expectations in check. Pre-season optimism quickly dissipated at Mercedes during the opening rounds of the Formula One season, as it realized it didn't have a car that it could challenge Red Bull. The team quickly started exploring new development directions that it will start to implement from the next race in Imola onwards, and as anticipation mounts over the upgrade package, Wolff is becoming concerned about Mercedes expecting too much from it. We need to manage our own expectations, because we're bringing an update package that's going to consist of new suspension parts and bodywork and some other things, Wolff said. But I have never in my 15 years in Formula One seen a silver bullet being introduced, where suddenly you unlock half a second of performance. So I very much doubt that this is going to happen here. What I'm looking for is that we take certain variables off the table where we believe we could have introduced something that we don't understand in the car, and to go more to, let's say, a stable platform. And then we should see where the baseline is and what we can do from there. I think we are chasing downforce, and we're trying to do the best possible job in terms of the mechanical platform. So what we're doing is, we're introducing a new bodywork, and we're introducing a new floor, and we're doing a new front suspension. And that's pretty large. That's a pretty large operation. Large surgery, and it's going to be a lot of learning. In the virtual world, it is good lap time. Given Imola marks the start of F1's first triple header of the season, also featuring Monaco and Barcelona, and Wolff believes it's a well-timed upgrade as Mercedes will get plenty of opportunities to gather data. I think we know what we're doing to the car, he said. Really quickly, we will see whether that correlates with the virtual world. I think it's good to have 3 races in a row to understand what's actually happening, and then it gives us maybe a little bit of a buffer later on to filter that, and then take next decisions of what to do in terms of updates. But Monaco between the two is something that it's a single lap issue, and a tire that comes into life quickly. None of that we do well, so let's see where we are in Imola. The second story is where did Ferrari and Mercedes go? Horner baffled by rivals after latest Red Bull. Red Bull team boss Christian Horner says he's been left asking where did Ferrari and Mercedes go after his squad claimed another dominant 1-2 finish at the Miami Grand Prix. Max Verstappen led home teammate Sergio Perez at the Miami International Autodrome for their 4th perfect result from the 5 Grands Prix held so far in 2023, with nearest challenger Fernando Alonso 26 seconds adrift, and the closest Ferrari and Mercedes cars over half a minute back. It means Red Bull hold a comfortable advantage in the constructors' standings with 224 points, while Aston Martin are on 102, Mercedes on 96, and Ferrari on 78. 5 races, 5 wins, plus the sprint, 4 1-2 finishes. We've never ever had a start like this, Horner told Sky Sports, reflecting on Red Bull's impressive run so far. We're kind of wondering where are the others. We haven't. We've made a normal step, what we would think, over the winter, and I think it's more where did Ferrari and Mercedes go. They're working hard on, I'm sure, big upgrades for Europe. With the penalty we have to develop the car later in the year, it's important for us to get as much fresh air as we can between ourselves and the opposition at this stage. Asked if he feels Red Bull have any room for improvement themselves, and where that might be, Horner said, well, you're always looking to improve. You can't stand still. Every area, there's always something that we can improve on. I think you learn a lot at every Grand Prix and out of every situation. He signed off, the team is operating at such a high level. It's not just what you see here, it's what's going on behind the scenes, the support from back in the factory. The way that the whole team is operating is phenomenal. The third story is Red Bull chief takes swipe at Mercedes for trying to poach lead designer. Red Bull's Helmut Marko says Mercedes made a last-ditch attempt to sign Adrian Newey as the Silver Arrows desperately look to haul in the deficit to Formula One's second dominant team. Newey, the lead designer behind Red Bull's rapid RB19 car this season, last week extended his deal with the Milton Keynes outfit. Yet F1 Insider report that the 64-year-old received a phone call from a Mercedes assistant who formerly worked at Red Bull about opening talks regarding a potential move to Toto Wolff's team. But Newey, who has been at Red Bull since 2006, rejected the offer, and Red Bull's special advisor Marko seemed to confirm the report while speaking at the Miami Grand Prix. Mr. Wolff may not seem to have the full confidence in his own people to fix the problems with their car, said Marko. Mercedes recently announced a job swap in their department, with with James Allison returning to his role of technical director and Mike Elliott taking up the position of chief technical officer. Wolff labeled the W14 a nasty piece of work over the weekend in Miami, where George Russell and Lewis Hamilton finished 4th and 6th respectively. Mercedes, the constructors' champions in F1 from 2014 to 2021, are pinning their 2023 hopes on a highly anticipated upgrade at the next race at Imola in the hope it reduces the gap to Red Bull out in front. Red Bull, meanwhile, are expanding to become an engine manufacturer for the new set of regulations in 2026, partnering with American automotive giant Ford to form Red Bull Ford Powertrains. Newey, who is seen by many as the main reason behind Red Bull's Supreme RB19 this season given his experience in ground effect aerodynamics, will play an important role as the division launches in Milton Keynes. Adrian has been such a fundamental part since almost the beginning, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner said. He covers a lot of areas, and to have the depth of his experience and knowledge to draw upon, and the way he works with the young guys, it's great. He's just as motivated as he always been. Obviously, he has a great interest in what's going on in powertrains and Red Bull advanced technology as well. So, he covers the 3 pillars of the campus in Milton Keynes. The 4th story is Lewis Hamilton issues F1 rules demand as Mercedes fear years of Red Bull dominance. Mercedes hope to be back fighting for race wins and the F1 titles this year, but the performance gap to runaway leaders Red Bull looks to be even greater than before. Lewis Hamilton fears Red Bull will dominate the Formula One world for years if his Mercedes team cannot adapt better to the car regulations. The defending champions already look certain to secure back-to-back Constructors' Championship successes this year. Records were broken by Red Bull and Max Verstappen on the way to the 2022 titles, and they could smash them again this term if the first 5 races are a sign of things to come. The Milton Keynes outfit has won all 5, with Verstappen taking victory in 3 while Sergio Perez has snatched the other 2. Red Bull already have a 122-point advantage over their nearest competitor, and given their car performance is still streets ahead, it is a gap that is likely only to increase. Red Bull's rise has coincided with Mercedes' regression. The Silver Arrows were slow to adapt to the new car regulations which came into force in 2022 and have been playing catch-up ever since, much to Hamilton's frustration. And given how uncompetitive the title race is again this year, and the general consensus that the past couple of races have been largely dull affairs, have led to some criticism of F1, Hamilton said he can see why some have lost interest. It's not my job to convince people to watch a sport. I'm not watching so it's not boring for me, he said. But as a fan watching, I can understand because it's not as competitive as maybe the NFL or the NBA at the moment. As a sport, it has tried to bring the teams closer, but it never seems to work. But echoing what his team boss Toto Wolff has said on many occasions, Hamilton believes the responsibility is on his team to reel in Red Bull rather than simply changing the rules to curb the leader's advantage. He added, "All I can say is that we're working as hard as we can to close up and get back and give them more of a fight. It's just unfortunate that we still see the same sort of gaps between the teams," and he warned that if his team fails to make significant strides, it may well be a long time before Mercedes can give Red Bull a proper fight. The Brit said, "I don't know what the solution is for the future, but we are going to have to adapt to these regulations. Otherwise, it could be the same as it is now for years." The 5th story is Toto Wolff shoots down Christian Horner's Mercedes suspicions. It's what I'm hearing. Toto Wolff has denied Mercedes will soon challenge the frontrunners despite Christian Horner's warning guide to switch broadband deals. Toto Wolff has rubbished Christian Horner's claims that Mercedes will make a massive step forward at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The Silver Arrows will fit a new front suspension and a new floor in Imola as well as a range of aerodynamic upgrades. It comes with the German marque continuing to lack pace to Red Bull and even dropping behind Ferrari and Aston Martin at some events this year. However, team boss Wolff has urged fans and engineers to not get carried away over the scale of the updates despite Horner hearing the squad had major parts on the way. Wolff said, "We need to manage our own expectations because we're bringing an update package that's going to consist of new suspension parts and bodywork. But I have never in my 15 years in F1 seen a silver bullet being introduced, where suddenly you unlock half a second performance. So I very much doubt that this is going to happen here." Speaking in Miami, Wolff doubled down on his assertion that the parts would not provide an instant answer to Red Bull's dominant start to the campaign. He added, "We are talking so much about the upgrade, but we are not going to put it down on the track and drive circles around Red Bull." Red Bull have piled the pressure on the 8-time Constructors' champions, suggesting the new upgrades could close the gap. Horner told the F1 Nation podcast, "It's still a long season and they've got a lot of development time available to them. I mean, let's see. I keep hearing massive upgrades for Mercedes are coming and significant ones for Ferrari. So if they do have a B-spec car, then things can change quite quickly. But Red Bull could face a major hurdle with their in-season performance upgrades set to be hampered. The team were slapped with a 10% reduction in wind tunnel development time last season after the champions were found guilty of breaching F1's budget cap rules. The squad feels this could allow their rivals to close the gap but are hopeful of building a strong enough lead before then." When pushed at which event the budget cap penalty could start to bite, Horner commented, "I think you'll see from the next race. I think there's big upgrades coming. We just have to be super selective in terms of what we test and how we develop the car. Thankfully, the cars got off to a great start and therefore we are not having to solve big issues and big problems, so we are able to focus on those incremental gains. But I still expect it to converge later in the year."